Dr. Shaw here, and welcome to another episode of Teaching Humanity Remotely. Today I want to discuss relationships. And again, this came about due to dear friends of mine who were really having a hard time. And it was just so helpful. So this friend shared with me the couple's separate perceptions of each other. And what I wrote to the couple was the following. What I've come to understand is that when relationships get hard, it's not about defending our position. Because if you defend your position, what happens is you're using the energy in the wrong way. We all have a limited amount of attention and energy. So if we use it to defend our position, we deny ourselves the learning lesson we're given by the other person's perception that is so different than ours. So what matters is to honor each person's perception, because each person's perception is their reality, and seeing how the relationship can get fixed, and if it can, and if it's even wanted. So in other words, somebody says to you, I feel like you don't make me a priority. And the other person says, I don't make you a priority. What are you kidding? I do all this for you and everything. That's not going to help the relationship. The way to respond is, I don't make you a priority. Okay, can you give me examples of how I don't make you a priority? And then say, you know what, I feel like I do, but I hear you and your examples are really clear. I want to fix this. Do you want to fix this? Yes, we both want to fix it. So because we both want to fix it, we're going to hear each other's complaints and we're going to see what each of us can do to fix the other person's view, to see if we can change their perception. That's one way. I also believe relationships change and transform and grow. Sometimes I've stayed in relationships longer than the relationship really was meant to be. The relationship was transforming, let's say from a lover relationship to a friend relationship, and I was afraid to be alone, so I stayed in longer than I was supposed to. And what happened was, instead of ending on a high note with love in our hearts, we kind of murdered the relationship and murdered each other because we wound up accumulating so much disappointment of one another. So sometimes to know that a relationship may have a shelf life, not those longevity relationships, not those long best friend relationships, but sometimes relationships come in and can go out, and that's okay. But again, I think we're trained from a very young age to have that loyalty and think that everything's going to last forever, and so we don't really pay attention to the lifespan of the relationship. So sometimes we keep it lasting longer than it's supposed to. And when we do that, what happens is then we really make the other person wrong. Then we build a whole case up about how terrible they are and how life would be so much better without them and how, we really make that person wrong. And what I am suggesting is that if we really look and we can possibly be objective and really see what's going on, if we can really pay attention and say, you know what, this relationship, for what it was fantastic. It had a great lifespan. I learned how to develop a voice. We're really good friends. I would define our relationship, even though we're not happy in it right now, I would define that a strong element of our relationship was that we really loved each other. And if we can transition while we're still loving each other, we can continue to love each other. But if we stay longer then the relationship can serve us, we're going to start hating each other. And we're going to have a terrible divorce. And we're going to start fighting about all different things. So sometimes to be able to honor that there's an inner transformation. Maybe I changed and you didn't change. Maybe I feel like I am growing and you're not growing. Without making that other person wrong and without making myself right, the relationship just isn't working. So while we love each other, let's see if we can transition with the utmost respect and honoring each other and sort of like getting out and detangled from the relationship with the same kind of support and friendship and love that we had for each other when we got into the relationship. That would really be taking the high road, and I think it's really possible. So that's really what I wanted to say to my friends, because I have no sides for this couple. I really love them both. And if they want their relationship to work and they can fix it, and it could be more fulfilling and they could stop making each other wrong, that would be great. But if they can't, while they still love each other, if they could just freeze everything and say, you know what, without making you wrong, without making me right, let's stop right now while we love each other and see if we can honor the transformation that the relationship isn't working anymore without making anyone wrong, and let's see if we can get out of the relationship with grace and dignity and love for ourselves and love for each other. And I think that if we can do that, and if we can start talking to our children, we have to talk to our children and have ability to not talk at them, but just share with them. So I have a granddaughter, and she's 10, and she had some like social issues already in her life. And now that I've come to this kind of clarity, I can't wait to have a conversation about how she did handle her moving towards different friendships with grace and dignity. I'm really proud that she did that. So I just feel like it's all kind of a learning lesson, and it's all really interesting. And if we could stop along the way and check in, and when we see that a relationship isn't serving us anymore, how can we, again, transition with grace, ease, and love? It would be so much more fulfilling. Sometimes we get really angry because we have anger and we need to displace it. We need to put it on something. We need to make the other person wrong. But if we can grow and say, you know what? I once really loved you. And even though I may not feel like I love you now, I don't really need to make you wrong. I don't need to make me wrong. I don't need to be any more hurt about this. Any sadness that I have about me not loving you is my sadness that I have to work through. But I could still end the relationship or transition into a different type of relationship with you with love and grace, because I once loved you and that meant something, and I can take the high road. And I just think we would all be better for it. And I think it would lessen the pain and quicken getting back to a friendship, even if it's not the deepest friendship, because there's a movement of separation. And I think it would be interesting to try that. And I feel like my granddaughter really showed this to me. She just removed herself. She knew that the friends that she has was making her feel bad, wasn't serving her well. She removed herself. She's in a different social group. And the original friends, they're all really friendly now. They're not the best friends, but they figured it out. And they did it with love and self-love and grace, and just honoring the fact that things were changing, and it's all okay with that transformation. So until next time, please feel free to visit me at Dr. Mindy Shaw paperback at Amazon, and always write to me at learnwithmeremotely@gmail.com. Be well. I hope this resonates with you.